Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about boredom. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, would you say that software engineering can be really, really boring? Someone has mentioned to me that that is the case, and I am second guessing if this is the right path for me in school. But I love it. Do you think I will regret pursuing a career in software development? Nope. And the reason why I would say that is because you say that you love it. I don't usually have to hear more than that. Because honestly, how many people do you know who would like basically know at before they even start doing the thing as a job that they love doing it in their free time? I mean, that is a luxury. I can relate to this myself because before I decided to be a software developer, I had a while where I just sat as a hobbyist and played around with it, and I found that I lost hours and days on it because I really just enjoyed doing it, not for money, just because I thought it was really cool. And I would hope that that is the sort of sensation most of us are looking for. Like, not everybody has it, of course, because work is work, and for some people they have other interests as apart from their work. But the people who are fortunate enough that where you can make a living of something that you really love, that's a pretty enviable or desirable, let's call it that instead, case to have. So the thing you should know is that at least what I argue, it may not necessarily be the case for you, but it definitely was for me. And I would like to think that I was on the higher end of the spectrum when it came to love for the craft and so forth. I still am, I would like to think. But nothing you do, regardless of what it is, will always stay in the honeymoon period. It's the same thing like meeting someone new or so forth, like getting into a new relationship or so forth. Usually all the like all the happy and like the love and like all the excitement and so forth, it's there. For how long, nobody knows, but sooner or later you're going to see those peaks and valleys depending on circumstances to start to smooth out a little bit. And it's the same thing for basically anything you do in, I would argue, like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, you might love a thing, and if your baseline is good enough, you're going to stick with it, but you're not going to be excited every single day for like when it comes to like work and so forth. And so if you're doing software development, it's the same thing. If you love spending a lot of time reading up on things, making systems, and feeling in the beginning, especially feeling like the dumbest motherfuckers ever lived, then you're gonna be fine. If you can get through all of that and then like get to like I don't know how many years it can take. For me, it took, can it have been 8 years, something like that, before I started realizing that now I find less and less interesting stuff on the forums and like on in newsletters and stuff like that, because now I've reached a point where software development, it is my passion. It still is something that I like to do in my spare time and so forth, but not to like not exclusively, not in the obsessive way that I used to, where like that was the only thing I did, nothing else. Literally for the first 5 years of my career, I can't even remember something other. Well, I did like play a computer game here and there and so forth, but for the most part, like that was it. There was nothing else. And now I'm a little bit more diverse, I'd like to think, because I have other hobbies apart from software development. And so, at least for me, it took quite a while before I got to that point. For some people, it's even faster. And you might come to regret the choices. Who knows? Because the thing you're doing now, I mean, I don't know you as a person. I don't know how die hard, stick to it you are. And it might be the case that when you get into the industry, you'll start to realize that, well, yeah, the thing you really love about software development is that you can be there creative and like make your own thing and so forth. But work circumstances forces you into a different sort of situation. And that is very common, where let's take an artist, for example. So an artist who loves to just creatively create whatever they want might not like so much to do like commission type of work or work in a firm or something like that. Or a writer who loves to write short stories starts working in a company where they're basically micromanaged or things like that. So like it's hard for me to say if you're gonna continue loving it forever, or if it's going to be a mistake for you. You don't know. All I can say is that if you express the fact that you love it, it seems to be a pretty good option for you, or like it's a pretty good bet, because very few people would, I argue, have that like going into an education or something like that. Most of the people go into like a career path and so forth because of a lot of various reasons. They can find something interesting and so forth and so forth, but having a real passion for it, that's something that, at least I've always said, that if you feel strongly enough about something that it moves you to action, then always take it. Always. No exceptions, in my opinion, at the very least. Because it's so rare that you have a real emotional response to something you want to do or something you want to act on or so forth and so forth. It might blow up in your face, but most of the time, you sort of stagnate because you never have anything that drives you in any one direction. And this seems to me to be something that drives you in a direction. And I always like to say that it's better to be going somewhere than just sit and wait for something to happen. So what I want you to take away from this is that yes, software engineering can get really, really boring. And some things are fun in development, some things are not so fun. I will raise my hand and say there's stuff in my work life that I really think is like the most boring thing there is. Not the coding. The coding is super fun, and still, even after all these years, I still love it. Like nothing is, like I get personal pleasure to a point where I might not be able to say that in polite conversation, when I get to sit and write some unit tests for like a function, or I mean even just doing some basic CSS or something like that, especially when it's like, if it's, I don't know why, but I love styling a static HTML page in just vanilla CSS. It's so simple and pure. It's almost like meditation to me. And it's the same thing with the, having a class or like a set of unit tests or something like that I have to write for a piece of software or so forth. I truly despise trying to figure out why a pipeline isn't working. I still nothing frustrates me as much as trying to figure out to have the right combination of configurations. Like I really hate diving through. It's boring as fuck. Just diving through tons and tons of documentation of this, different tasks or jobs or so forth, and just figure out, okay, what do I need to do here? And it's basically trial and error. You're trying to figure out how this really weird black box type of thing is going to work, and then just waiting for the pipeline over and over and stuff like that. I really do hate that. So I'm not gonna lie and say that it's all, it's all rainbows and sunshine all the time. It's not. There's a ton of stuff that can be really, really boring about it. But if you do like the software writing and trying to figure out problems and these sorts of things, it's very likely that you're going to enjoy it. Nobody knows if you're going to regret it in the future. It's going to give you, if you get good at it, because remember, as I said, nothing lasts forever. Like even your passion is going to stagnate at some point, or it's going to start to like slope a little bit, even if it's super, super high in the beginning. Try to leverage that love, that extra energy boost that you get from the passion. Try to use that as much as possible, because when the honeymoon period is over, if you have really pushed it at that point, it doesn't, you can regret it, but you're probably going to have a fairly stable career. You might go in and do something else, like myself. Like I find other hobbies that I can spend my time on, but I've reached a point now where I have saved things, and I have like a really stable profile, so that if I were really in a pinch, if let's say I started really wanting to do something else, that doesn't really bother me all that much, because I can find a job as a software developer pretty much immediately, because I've already established skills that makes me very employable for a lot of various roles in the industry. And that is a safety net. Even if let's say in the future I start hating the work, well, then at least I have something to fall back on if there are no other options, and then I can go and pursue the next big thing like that I feel enjoyment from, or so forth and so forth. So if you do have that passion, and I read a little bit of passion in the thing that you wrote, I think you should use it, because as I said, to me at the very least, it's so rare that you really get a gut feeling for wanting to do something, to act on something. And when you get something like that, you should explore it, because it's a whole, at least in my experience, I've done it 100 times now. Every single time, even if it didn't turn out so well, I'm more happy that I tried than like because the times I haven't, I just regret it. You go and like think about what ifs and what ifs and what ifs, and I kind of go, I would rather just say, yeah, that blew up in my face, than going around wondering if, yeah, could I have done something. Have a great day.